Hey guys, Tammy here. And in this video, I want to know, are you in a faux custody battle? And you're like, what is a faux custody battle? Well, in my experience, a faux custody battle is when you have somebody on the other side who's just fighting and scraping for every ounce of time that they can get. But you know that this is not about the kids for them. I hear that from so many people. It's like, they weren't involved at all when we were together. They didn't really pay attention to the kids. They've always been more worried about their career or their friends or their whatever. And, this is about money, or this is about control, or this is about manipulation, or whatever it is. And yet we find ourselves in the midst of this raging battle. Let me just remind you, if you like this content, don't forget to hit like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel so that you get notified as new videos are released. And as always, please feel free to share this on social media. I think that, what happens is we get so frustrated because we just know, like, I can tell you that for me personally, like with my ex-husband, he wasn't around. He worked a lot of hours, which I was grateful for because he supported the family. And he just wasn't there. And, he would coach ball games and do some things like that, especially as they got older. But, especially when they were very little, he did not help with a lot of the bathing and the feeding and the, putting to bed and the getting up in the middle of the night and all those things. And then as they got older, there was no help with homework or school shopping or cooking dinner or washing dishes or getting in the groceries or all these different things that are all part of raising children. And I felt like it was very imbalanced to me because I was the one that seemed to be doing everything all the time, and the other person did very, very little or was always gone to work. And I will tell you that I see this both directions. This isn't just mom or dad. I see dads that were stay-at-home dads, or dads that worked and still pulled the vast majority of the weight with the kids, and the mom didn't do as much or whatever. And so again, it's a person on the other side that didn't really seem to be interested in the children or the child rearing, but now all of a sudden they want the kids because, they want support, or they're going to have to pay support, or they're trying to control you or manipulate you, or whatever the case may be. And here's the thing is, you may be absolutely right. It may be that they have absolutely no interest in parenting, and this is totally about money, or this is totally about getting control of you, or even sometimes they have a reunification agenda, right? They want to get back together and they're trying to utilize the child in ways to make that happen. So it can be any of these scenarios, but regardless of why it's happening, the thing is that anybody that has an ulterior motive in that way is not going to stick over the long haul in parenting. Okay. Go talk to a parent of any person that's 25 or older, and they're going to tell you that, wow, there's some tough years in there. And it's different with different kids. My younger son was really tough as a young child. My older son was tough as a teenager. They both kind of did some screwed up things in their 20s in different ways, in my opinion, different poor decisions and whatnot that I couldn't save them from at that point. The point is that somebody's motivation, if it's not coming from love for that child, there's no way they're going to be able to stick in for years and years and years of parenting that child, because let's face it, parenting's pretty thankless. It really is. I always say the only thing more thankless than parenting is step parenting. Okay. Just word to the wise. But parenting can be pretty thankless. I mean, you love them with all your heart, and it's fun when they're young, and watching them grow and learn and have fun and laugh and enjoy things and connect with them and all that. And when they start developing their own ideas and their own personalities, and they start pulling away and they become rude and obnoxious and think you know nothing and they know everything and all of that, it becomes fairly thankless. So a person that's only in it for those types of ulterior motives that's generally not going to be enough to carry you through the type of labor of love that parenting requires. So, what I always tell people is look, the fastest and easiest way to put this person to the proof is to let them have the time, let go of the rope. Now, I'm not saying don't protect your children, if you're in abusive situations or whatever. I understand every situation is different. But I'm saying in the vast majority of situations, or a situation where the court's going, well, you think there's abuse, but we're not finding it, whatever. We all find ourselves in those kinds of dilemmas in the court system. We all know it's not perfect by any means. And the fastest way to prove things is to let them happen. Because what most people want to do is they want to say to the court, look, this person didn't do these things before. I know they're not going to be hands-on. I know they're not going to pay attention to the kid. I know they're not going to do all these things. And the court's perspective, the way they look at it is, look, okay, they didn't do any of those things when you were together, but now your family is apart. And so the same way that I then had to figure out, okay, my husband was the primary breadwinner. I earned less. I had more flexible jobs. Okay, now we're apart. Now guess what? I got to take on part of that primary breadwinner role and figure out how I'm going to provide for me and the kids during my parenting time. And then dad also had to figure out during his parenting time, how is he going to take on the role of the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and the dishes and, all the parts of it that I was doing. So when we're together, our roles are very compartmentalized in those ways. And yes, it is common for one parent to be more provider focused and for one parent to be more hands-on child rearing focused. But what happens after a breakup is that child rearing and that providing essentially gets partially put on both of you. Okay. So it's divided up differently. Instead of one person having all of one and the other person having all of the other, each person has half of each of those components. So the best way, if you have a parent who wasn't hands-on and wasn't doing those things, then you say, here, this is your parenting time. Here you go. You figure it out. What happens in that instance is they either have to figure out how to incorporate that parenting into their day-to-day life if that's important enough for them, or it won't be, and they'll be continuing having other people help or needing your help or whatever. And I'm not saying refuse to help, but I am saying keep track of how much you're helping, because that is something that can give you leverage in the court. If you're saying, well, the other parent has 50% time, but I'm the one doing all the pickups from school every day of the week and keeping the kids and then taking them to the other parent. Again, just tracking all the different things and making sure that you are gathering that proof of what is happening post separation. Because the court kind of goes, well, everything up to separation was one ball game, right? And now we're in a whole different realm. So now the rules are different. And again, I'm not talking about situations where there's abuse or violence or something like that. In that situation, the court's going to, if they make a finding of that type of thing, they're going to try to put those boundaries in place to protect everybody. But in a situation where we don't have that, then the court kind of goes, look, I know it functioned this way before, but now you're not together. And now it's going to function this way. And I will just tell you that I think mine and my late husband Thomas's situations are both examples of opposite sides of this coin. So I just want to kind of tell you what that looked like for each of us. My kids were a little bit older. Again, I have relayed my ex-husband didn't do not just minimal, but really I would say almost none, probably changed less than 5 diapers in their entire lives, never gave a bath, never worried about homework or dinner or any of those things. I don't even remember once. Of course, I'm not saying my recollection is perfect. It's probably skewed in the negative. But what happened was when he got his parenting time, and I think the schedule that we had on paper, I think his parenting time was about 20% in the very beginning. I think we had like an 80-20, and he just kind of died off. He just kind of stopped showing up. He would tell the kids he's coming. He wouldn't. He would flake. He would whatever. And 80-20 was kind of what the court used for our orders and things. But I never denied him more time. Like if he had wanted to take the kids more time, I was totally fine with that. It wasn't a problem. And I used to say things like, look, set up a room for them there, get clothes for them, do this, do that, where they don't have to pack a bag and they don't have to do all these things to be able to come see you. And, he was kind of like, who are you to tell me how to parent? And it's like, well, I'm not trying to tell you how to parent. I'm trying to tell you if you want more parenting time, here's how to get it. He did not do that. He went completely the opposite. And then he went even further and he actually moved further away from the children than he was already living. He went from living like 15 minutes away to living like 40 minutes away. And that made it even more difficult. Both of our boys were older. They both played sports. It was just really challenging for them on a daily basis to get out to where their dad was. And then you take my late husband, Thomas, his children were very little. They were 1 and 2 when they separated. They essentially went into daycare full time upon the divorce. Mom used to stay at home, but she went back to school because she knew she had to get herself to where she could earn a living. So the kids went into daycare. And then what Thomas did is left his law firm job and opened his own solo private firm so that he had full flexibility to work his schedule around the kids. So he restructured his whole entire life, even though that meant going through a lot of savings and a lot of his retirement to make that happen, just restructuring his whole life because parenting was paramount for him. So I think when you let go of the rope and you let the other person do whatever they're going to do, time will tell whether that person's actually going to step up to the plate. And again, I think the court kind of gives us both a clean slate at the point of breakup to try to go, okay, well, here's this situation. Now, how are you going to navigate it? Because how you navigate it is up to you, but how you navigate it is going to determine the long-term outcomes of this. Okay. So don't get frustrated in the first instance if you're not really getting the results that you want, or the parenting time's not divvied up the way that you want. If you honestly think that parent isn't going to follow through and do what they say they're going to do because they never have in the past, obviously, then probably this is all going to come out in the wash over the long term. You just have to step back and let that unfold so that everyone else can see that what you're trying to say is true. You have to gather the actual proof of it, right? And not just your verbalizing it. If you'd like more help learning about these types of strategies, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There's information on that page on my group coaching programs for moms and for dads. I'd love to have you join us. I think you'd find it really supportive. And there's also a link where you can book a call if you're interested in kind of high-level VIP one-on-one premium services. If your case is more complicated, or you're just in that stage where you've got the whole road ahead of you, or you just really want that level of hands-on support. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time. We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the